Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of the Sick Podcast, Talking Titans. This is actually our 100th episode, believe it or not, here at this glorious station here, Sick Podcast, Talking Titans. So, unfortunately, Jared's not with us. He's on his 8th vacation of the year, so he'll be back with us next week. We wish him the best, him and his family. Thankfully, Vin is touching ground today, so he's here with us. Let's not waste any time, Shane. Start us up.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. Talking Titans.
Levis towards the end zone. Got a man. Touchdown. Wow. And it's the fourth TD pass of the day in the debut of Will Levis.
The sickest Tennessee Titans podcast. Sick! It's going to be sick.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of the Sick Podcast, Talking Titans. I'm joined by my counterpart, Vincent. Vin, how are we doing today, my friend?
We're doing good. I just touched down. I think I was in Dubai last week. I just got back today, so it's nice to be joined by you, the one, the only, the Salvatore Manfredi, and Jared. A lot of PTO days at PSC&G. He's very high. He's high up there, so he might just do whatever the fuck he wants. You know what I mean?
And listen, he's probably working. He's working from his bungalow right now, so let's not give him too much flack.
Probably about 5 or 6 IPAs deep, whatever local IPA is there, he's drinking it. So,
but he's here with us in spirit. Again, like I mentioned, guys, I can't believe this has been our 100th episode here at the Sick Podcast, Talking Titans. It's been a blur. Obviously, some shows I wasn't here, some shows Vince, some shows Jared, but we've been with you guys no matter what each and every week. As my dog starts to freak out because my roommate's home. That'll be all right, though. We'll be okay. But listen, we had a game we played last weekend, and I got to be honest, there were a couple things that terrified me. I'm sure you can attest to it, Vin.
Yeah.
Let me let you start while my dog relaxes. You can give us your thoughts about what you saw against those 49ers at home.
So all in all, from the first team, I liked what I saw. I saw a bit of protection for Will Levis. Now, whether or not he protected himself at times is another story. That being said, the offensive line looked improved. Calvin Ridley had a phenomenal, yards after catch play on I believe it was 3rd down. The running back situation looked fluid. It looked like a brand new, version of Tennessee Titans football, which is refreshing to see. That being said, Will Levis needs to protect himself. Okay, I'm going to cut right through it. This kid will not make it a full season lowering his shoulder like that. He's big. He's not that big. He's not Josh Allen, 6'5", 250, 260, or Cam Newton, 6'5", 250, 260. He's, 6'3",
big kid. He's a big kid, but
225, 230. But guess what? Over the course of a season, as well as I, Sal, that will not last.
No, of course not.
Listen, he looked good. Good thrower of the football. We know that. The offense looked good. My only concern, really, from the offensive side, we could touch on the defense and after this, but he needs to protect himself, lowering his shoulder to try to, listen, it's never really worth it, let alone in the preseason. Unless a game is on the line in a dire situation, really, you don't want your franchise quarterback lowering his shoulder like that.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is, and I've said this a million times before with this kid,
he wants it too much.
He's a head case, and I love the fact that he's a head case. That's why I think he's going to be the one, if anyone will, to lead us to a Super Bowl, because he has that eye of the tiger, because he has that edge that you can't learn. You either are born with it or you're not, and he was born with that edge. So that comes with a price, unfortunately, and you saw it there on Saturday night. I mean, the fact that this kid thought it was a good idea in the first fucking preseason game to roll right, pump fake, and then just straight up lower his shoulder with 2 defenders in front of him is absolutely absurd. Only a sociopath would do that.
Yeah.
And that's what he is. So, again, to have a QB like that, it comes with a little bit of a price, and this is what you got to deal with. I'm hoping Titans brass at least went up to him and said, listen, my friend, we know you want to win every single rep, no matter what, if it's scrimmage, if it's preseason, if it's fucking pickup in the park. I know you want to win every rep, but we need you here for 15 years. And if you're going to win some championships, slide in preseason, my guy. So with that being said, hopefully he gets the point. We know he's going to be asked about it if he hasn't been already. So let's hope that doesn't happen for any more games this season because Callahan said he's going to play. So
the only thing that makes me nervous, Sal, is that this just kind of seems like who he is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you said, he's a little crazy, which is a good thing if you can tame it. And we really need him, to tame it because it makes you think like we saw this last year. You know, like when he caused that fumble and then recovered it, that one play, that was amazing. That was very cool. Getting upended and doing flips and like landing it, very cool. It's short-lived though. And I just worry that this is going to be, even if he curtails it, $5 word, even if he curtails it, I still think this will always be part of his game, which makes me and you and Jared and every other Titans fan in the world extremely anxious, extremely nervous. Because we saw what we did to Marcus Mariota. You know what I mean? Where we
saw what happened to Andrew Luck.
Exactly.
I mean, this is a very similar situation. Now, mind you, he didn't have the best offensive line for primary most of his career. But that dude was, even though he was a quiet guy, he was a sociopath.
Yeah.
He would do the same shit. He would fucking lower his shoulder like he was a running back, and it worked. And that's why he's a Pro Bowler and an All-Pro and all those other things. But that's
also why he had to retire after, 8 years?
Yeah, so we don't want that.
Yeah, so, but listen, other than that, we don't have to be oblivious or parent of the whole show, doom and gloom. But other than that, I really liked what I saw from this team. I did. Defensively, kind of seems like we got shredded on the first drive. They kind of went right up the field. But listen, I mean, it's the preseason. You have to take everything with a grain of salt. I think it was the Bears a couple of years ago. They went 4-0 and they're 3-0, 4-0 in the preseason, and then they ended up with the number 1 pick the following year. That was, then traded to the Carolina Panthers. But you see teams look great in the preseason and have nothing to show for it in the regular season. So take everything that you see with a grain of salt. But I liked what I saw, especially from that offense. I think if we could stay healthy and then add DeAndre Hopkins into the mix, and I'm starting to think, Sal, that we might be saving him for our home opener against the Jets. If he has to miss a week, he has to miss a week. That's okay. But I think the sky is the limit. If, knock on wood, we stay healthy, and this new offense that we saw last week continues to improve because it is going to hopefully be like nothing we've ever seen before from the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, a lot of good things you saw from Ridley. The acceleration is unmatched. If you give him a corner, if you give him an edge, it's over. And that's obviously a great thing to have.
His stop and start ability, man, is
it's up another dimension. It really is. You watch him and you don't think a human should be able to go that fast, that quick. And,
you see the video of our DB coach, Chris Harris, talk to him at practice where he said, you're the best player I've ever been around, hardest worker, so. Yeah,
and you know who else was told that as well before by, I don't remember which coach, but he was told that before, and that was D-Hop. Yeah. Ironically, I think his answer was, I know.
I know.
It's just classic D-Hop. But, it's a good thing it's a good problem to have, having 2 number ones that have good work ethics. And as long as they both stay healthy, as I've said a million times before, their presence alone with Will Levis, they should have us in every single game, no matter who the opponent is. If you have a motivated Will Levis, a functioning offensive line, D-Hop, Ridley, Pollard, Spears, there should be not one team on this earth that we should not be able to keep up with offensively. Mm-hmm. And I'm talking about the fucking Chiefs, and I'm talking about the Niners. I'm talking about all of them. We have the caliber of talent that all those teams have, maybe with the exception of Kansas City because they have a unicorn at quarterback. But with that being said, everybody else, I can give you somebody to match them up with against any team in the league. So health's going to be a big concern. Obviously, knock on wood, that is great. But sky's the limit for fucking Ridley and D-Hop and all these guys.
Tyler Boyd, Tony Pollard, Andre Spears.
Yeah. Let's move on to the defense. I mean, there wasn't really a ton of talk about. We only held the Niners to 13 points. So Purdy didn't play. McCaffrey didn't play. I mean, it really didn't. The defensive part of this game essentially means nothing because you're not seeing anywhere close to elite talent to go against. So you can't really gauge what's going on there. But I'll say this, though, and I haven't mentioned on Twitter or anything like that, but I feel like every time I see Chance Campbell on the field, he's doing something well. And, I think he had 4 or 5 tackles on Saturday. He had a sack, only one on the team who had a sack. And when I watch him, he just looks super athletic.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's something I'm missing why he doesn't get more time. I know he got
still
some
going to
time.
be a position group that I think is, for the taking. The linebacker core. I mean, you might see it start out one way this season and end a completely different way because there's no really standout player, in my opinion, in that linebacker room. So we shall see. But you heard it here first. Sal is putting the whole NFL on notice. He retracted his statement a little bit with Kansas City. Wise decision because they do have Patrick Mahomes, and he is truly a person that you can plug on any team. And he's like a LeBron in that sense. Where you put him
Malik
on.
Willis did take him to overtime in his building, prime time, but that's besides the point.
We did. We should have won that game. That was
yes, we should
have won that game. But that's neither here nor there at the moment. Speaking of Malik Willis, speaking of
Mason
Rudolph. I said Kyle Rudolph. Close enough.
I think I might have preferred Kyle Rudolph.
I wanted to see what you think about the number 2 position. A part of me feels as though it's going to kind of be given to Rudolph because they paid him a little bit, and maybe they keep Malik Willis as a 3. To me, I kind of like what Rudolph has done throughout his career. When he's plugged in, he's proved he could win you a game. You're not going to sustain success with him. To me, there's still something a bit, and I'm not saying I love him, more exciting about Malik Willis' style of play, his ability to run around, launch the ball. Rudolph's more of a prototypical stand in the pocket, going to try to beat you with my mind kind of quarterback. Physically, he's not blowing off the charts. He's a piece you could plug in and feel okay about winning a game or two. But I still think Malik Willis's upside is, a lot higher than Rudolph's, especially at this point in his career. I think Rudolph's been in the league 7 or 8 years already. It's been
about 6
a while.
or 7.
So that's kind of how I feel about it. I think it'll be given to Rudolph, but I think Willis, if they're really going to give it a fair shot, I would kind of like him to see that and take that number 2 spot.
Yeah, I mean, I've said this a million times. In order to win in the National Football League consistently as a quarterback, you have to be able to extend plays. That's something Ryan Tannehill couldn't do, which is why his drop-off was so quick and sudden. Because once the fuel emptied out of the tank for the surrounding offense, it was a wrap. The guy couldn't extend a play to save his fucking life. He never stepped up in the pocket. Honestly, nor did Mariota for the most part. Not nearly enough. And that's another reason why he took so many freaking hits, because he never stepped up. He didn't run properly and this, that, and the third. But my point is, do I think Mason Rudolph can win you a game or 2 here and there? Yeah, but one thing Malik can do very, very well is evade sacks. And we've seen him run around now. His decision-making so far has been horrendous. He's shown next to 0 accuracy during the opportunities he's had. But the athleticism is off the charts. We've known that from the minute we drafted him, which is why we got excited. You see his Liberty film. You know what he can do. But I don't know if he's got it up here. And when I say up here, for those not watching, I mean up in the head. I don't know if he's got it between the ears. And, that game against Seattle when they threw him in before Levis came in, number 1, if he played well, who knows where we would have been now. But number 2, I mean, that was just such a horrendous showing. Historically bad decision-making by Malik. I can't forget him just stepping out of bounds that play towards the end of the game. And it was so horrific. That's why they decided to put their 3rd string in after that. So he's got upside. I don't know if there's anything there. I'm going to be interested to watch him play further in preseason. He seems like a guy that maybe the pressure's off his back a little bit. Maybe he would get a little, it'll be simpler for him between the years, but I don't know. We'll find out soon enough. But Mason Rudolph, if we need to depend on Mason Rudolph like we did Blaine Gabbert 4 years ago to make the playoffs, it's over anyway.
Yeah, I mean, that's really 32-team situation. If your starter goes down, you're really behind the 8 ball. Besides a guy like, Gardner Minshew, who's a fringe starter, you saw him come in off the bench last year and look halfway decent. For every Nick Foles who comes in and wins you a Super Bowl, there is 1,000 backups who amount to absolutely nothing. So if Levis goes down, we're screwed. So
I think it makes more sense to try to, teach up Malik Willis to be a potential career backup for Levis, which is, I'm sure Malik would have no problem, collecting his $2.5 million a year and, wearing a uniform. And if his number gets called, he has a shot. But the reality of the situation is, until we are a bona fide, no doubt Super Bowl contender, like some teams already are, such as San Fran, Kansas City. I'll throw Buffalo in there, even though they're going to take a step back this year, I think. But the point is, backup quarterbacks on those teams are absolutely essential to have damn near close to starting experience and perennial starter talent, because if those teams go down, they need to keep them afloat, because it doesn't matter if they're the 7th or 8th seed. As long as they get in, they're going to be all right. So they got to pray to God, if there is an injury, someone can hold down the fort till their guy gets back. In this situation, it's like, I'd love to see Malik do well, Mason do well, but we're not a team yet that really should be worrying too much about the backup, because if they got to play,
we're done.
It's we're talking about 2025, unless it's a situation like, a while back where we need Mason Rudolph to win one game to get us in, and then Will Levis comes back. I hope that's not the case.
That's another reason why I think they're going to lean him, is because something we haven't brought up yet was the fact that he is a veteran. And I said he's been in the league 7-8 years. He's probably intelligent, has some sort of intelligence that they want in Will Levis's ear as a mentor, in my opinion, in that quarterback room, someone who has experience. And like you just said, Sal, if we need to throw somebody in to win a game in week 15, if Levis is, got to take a week off or is banged up, I think they would feel a little more confident in Mason Rudolph than they would Malik Willis to help them win a game. I mean, we saw Rudolph come in last year for Pittsburgh and win a couple games. So, but really, if he goes down, like you said, that's really it. For every, Nick Foles, there's a gazillion guys who don't amount to anything. For every Gardner Minshew who's bounced around, and Ryan Fitzpatrick, those guys are few and far between. Most backups are, going to give you success in very, very small dosages. That's why they're backups. But we'll see what happens and how that room shakes up. But
I'll say one thing. We'll jump into the next portion of that game. I'm not going to count my blessings yet, because history has shown this part of the game for us has been a complete joke. But there's a chance we might have a little bit of special teams talent this year. And when I say that, of course, I mean, I won't say it too loud, but Kyrus Jackson, I mean, my goodness gracious. First of all, was he hurt last year?
Yeah. So he probably played, I want to say, for maybe a quarter or so of the season, and then was banged up and I think tried to come back, but he did not get much action as a rookie after he got banged up. We can fact check that after the show, but I know he, he was an undrafted rookie from Georgia, so he has that championship pedigree. Played a little bit, and he
can move.
He can move. I don't think he finished the season. Speaking of being able to move, our other returner that we drafted in the 6th round this year from Tulane, Tajay Spears, his buddy, name is also last name has the same last name as Kyrus. So Jaquan Jackson, I think his name is.
Jaquan Jackson, yeah.
Yeah. So we got the Jackson brothers back there returning kicks, returning punts, looking electric. They've showed some good clips of Jaquan Jackson in camp as well. Kid's got some top end speed, and might find himself getting thrown in on special teams. So listen, I love to see it. I like the new rule. To me, it adds a lot of excitement to it. It's helping with player safety as well. You don't have these players running at 50 yards full speed, car crashes. No. I like this new rule they came up with. So we'll see.
Also had a rookie kicker join in the game. I must have forgotten this because I didn't see anybody else but full kick. But Braden Narvison Rookie
From where? Where's he
from
from?
NC State,
From
undrafted rookie from NC State.
Can we get his college numbers?
They're up here. At least a little bit of them are up here. Last season, 18 for 23 from field goal range. That's 78%. His long was 57. College, that's pretty good.
He could be a guy that they stash on their practice squad. And, Nick Folk's a little long in the tooth, and I think he's only on a 1-year deal. That could be a guy they look to maybe develop.
I mean, listen to this. I'm looking at his college stats right now. He had a postseason game against Kansas State, which was a bowl game. He went 2 for 3. Listen to his longs for all these games. This is college. This is impressive. 49, 40, 45, 39, 41, 57, 40, 48, 33, 31, and then 49 again, 44. For college guys, to be making these, that's relatively impressive because from what I've heard.
Once you get beyond 40 in college, it's a crapshoot, in my opinion.
Yeah. So, that's something to think about because we're going to have to address this at some point.
Yeah.
We got to find a fucking kicker we can keep here for a decade or at least 6 or 7 years. We have to do it.
I like Nick Folk, like I said, a little long in the tooth. He's been in the league since we were in 8th grade. So who knows how much longer he has. I think he's re-upped on a 1-year deal. So this kid, what's his name, Sal? This kid from NC State?
Braden Narvison.
Braden Narvison. I got to see what this kid looks like. But he could be someone maybe they stash on the practice squad. They look to develop. But we'll see. But I think all in all, most Titans fans were pretty happy with what they saw from.
Of course, absolutely.
It was fun. It was fun to just be able to see Titans football again. It's exciting, especially for people like me, you, and Jared. So
and the Titans have a historically they don't ever win their first preseason game. They always lose in some way. So. For that little nitbit too, that they won their first preseason game is great. They're playing again this Saturday. Also going to be at Nissan Stadium because we got gypped on the extra home game this year because we had it last year. So they give them an extra preseason game. That's going to be this Saturday at 7 against the Seattle Seahawks. See if what's his name plays over there. Didn't they draft somebody? Seattle in the later rounds as a project quarterback? I don't think Geno is Sam Howell.
Oh, they traded for him.
Yeah, Sam Howell and Geno Smith looks like is their room right now at quarterback. So let's see what they can do against them. But all in all, it was a real fun game to watch. Good to see the guys out there on the pads for the first time in our threads. And I think we're going to wrap it up for today. Before we do go, though, guys, don't want to absolutely give a shout out to our sponsors. First, we'll start off with Homage. If you're looking, guys, for any sports gear in any capacity, any league, any team, Homage has the best stuff on the market. Vin's wearing one of their items right now. It's on that left sleeve, brother. There it is. Homage, top of the line across the board. So make sure to check them out. Link is in the description. Again, Titans gear, your baseball team, basketball, whatever that is, they have all the best merch for those squads. And Vin, if you want to talk about our second sponsor, go right ahead.
Manta, the one and only, designed and optimized for deepest possible sleep in any environment. 100% blackout for deeper sleep. Infinitely adjustable for personalized fit. Absolute comfort. Visit mantasleep.com and use code SICKTITANS for 10% off. Like I said, I have a little case of sleep apnea. I wear a mouth device. I still snore a little bit. My wife's using the Mantis sleep mask, and she might be 6 months pregnant, but I'm swearing by this mask. It's helping her sleep a little throughout the night.
Here you go. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead. I think that's all
because of my schedule, like I said before, it's sometimes a necessity to have that mask on because I won't be going to bed until the sun starts to creep up. So use all the time. It's excellent. Blacks out everything. Make sure you use that 10% for any of your sleep item needs. Good.
And then how can I forget? We have to have Shane throw up the graphic. And
I didn't forget about that.
We the boys we broke the news on Twitter, but we're headed to Nashville, fellas. For all of our loyal followers, listeners, all our Nashville natives, please stop by for the home opener, September 14th, the Saturday before the home opener at 7 p.m. We'll be at the DraftKings Sports and Social Bar with Jarrett, myself, and Sal. And we are going to hopefully have our guest, Teron Davenport, a fan of the show, has been on here many times. Great reporter, phenomenal football knowledge, great guy as well. Hopefully he can make the journey and join us for our live show. We think he will. We're going to do some giveaways, a live podcast. We are more than thrilled to finally have the three of us go down there together. And, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. I mean, listen, it's been a long time coming. We've been talking about doing this ever since we started talking Titan football, getting down there to be able to do this for this year with the relevance of this year and all that we got going for us. It's going to be super, super exciting. So anybody, first of all, like I always say, if you're watching till this point, you're a real fan of the show. We appreciate you, number one. If you are also not subscribed and watching till this point, we definitely appreciate the subscription. The more support we have, the more opportunities we're going to have to do things like this. So like Vinny said, we're going to be there at the DraftKings Sports and Social right in Nashville the night before the 14th, 7 p.m. Central start. We want to have as many people there as possible. That would be ideal. I'm sure we already got some commits, but the bottom line is throughout this show, whether it be through the comments or our Twitter page or my Twitter page, there are so many of you that I'm hoping to get the honor to be able to meet and talk to. And this is going to be the easiest way to do that. Obviously, we're going to be at the game Sunday too, but it's going to be a hell of a fucking lot more hectic than it's going to be at our party that we're hosting. So make sure to join us that night if you're able to come out for a bit, say what's up. We're gonna have a lot of fun stuff to give away, and it's gonna be hopefully a night we're not gonna forget. So make sure to keep that on the calendar. September 4th, 7 p.m. Central.
September 14th.
That's it, September 14th. So with that being said, guys, we are gonna wrap up for today. Like I said, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all the places you find this podcast. Make sure you do that for us. It means the world. And that's about it. Hopefully, we're going to have Jarrett back next week. We'll have the three amigos in-house, and we'll keep you guys up to date. Next week, we'll have another game under our belt to talk about, more spots, hopefully more locked up. And that's a wrap. Anything you want to add before we take off for tonight?
That's it, brother. Great show, Hunter show. Hopefully, many more to come.
Absolutely. Absolutely, guys. I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of your week, and cheers to another 1,000 shows for us here at the Sick Podcast Talking Titans. As always, guys, tighten up. And Shane, you know the drill. Send us out.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Talking Titans on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.